Thank you all for joining us on our webinar, There Is Such Thing as a Free Lunch. I am Michelle Lederman. I'm the manager of ECM services at Adaptive Solutions. Before we start the presentation, just want to go over a couple of housekeeping items. You all should be muted, but if you have questions, please feel free to submit those via the pane on your dashboard, and I will be monitoring that throughout the presentation and sharing that with our presenters. In addition, you'll have some time at the end of the hour to ask any additional questions that you might have. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to our presenters, Chuck Davis and Sherry Delurier.
Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. This is Sherry Delurier. I'll get us started. And I'm the Director of Corporate Strategy here at Adaptive Solutions, and very excited to have you all join us today. I focus mainly on our corporate legal clients and serve as a project leader, work on business development and strategy, and very excited to share with you today some of the trends that we're seeing, particularly in the enterprise content management space. I'll turn it over to Chuck.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Chuck Davis. I am the president and CEO and a co-founding partner at Adaptive Solutions. Happy to say that I've been working in the legal technology field for over 26 years, and I'm looking forward to sharing some of the knowledge that we've accumulated today with the group and helping you understand what's new and exciting in the ECM market.
Thank you, Chuck. As far as our topics today, we did our introductions. We are going to provide you with an overview of iManage, which is one of the market leaders in this space, give you a little bit of background on the company, more importantly, the roadmap for that company and the future and their product offerings. Also focus a little bit on cloud versus on-prem. That's been a hot topic in many of our discussions with clients recently. And then we'll move right into a demo of iManage, particularly iManage Work, and what's new, what's coming up, what are some of the things that we're seeing clients take hold of, and what's coming up for the future as far as product offerings. There'll be opportunity, as Michelle mentioned, for you to ask questions both during the presentation, so use your question panel on your webinar, and Michelle can interject some of those questions as we go along as we need to. And we'll also have a Q&A section at the end, so if you wanted to hold anything for the end, you're welcome to do that. And please stick around till the end, and we'll let you know how to get your free lunch gift card as part of participating in the webinar today. All right, so let's get started. Just very quickly, for those of you who don't know us here at Adaptive Solutions, the company was founded in 1998, and we are a full-service technology service provider focused on the legal industry. We service many law firms and Fortune 500 corporate legal departments worldwide. We provide technology leadership and consulting services, and as I mentioned, kind of a full service offering. We are focused today on discussing solutions around enterprise content management, document management. We also provide services such as cloud and managed services. We do desktop refreshes, Windows upgrades. We do learning and education, provide general technology engineering support for legal departments. So with that, just a little background about iManage. For those of you who don't know, iManage was founded in 98 and has been through the ringer with mergers and acquisitions. They merged with Interwoven in 2003 and then were acquired by Autonomy, and then Autonomy was acquired by HP. And finally, in 2015, they kind of break through from that and announced a management buyout of the company from HP. Neil Aragio, who is in the picture in the front there with the hat on, is the CEO, president, and original founder. And he's a good leader, and we've seen him speak at many functions, including ILTA. He was really excited, and the whole company was, because when they were able to become independent, it really allowed them to now have a laser focus on the legal industry. Obviously, being part of a large organization like HP somewhat limited them from a strategic and visionary perspective. And now that they are independent, we're seeing a huge shift in focus. Really understanding and focusing their attention and their hiring efforts on the legal industry and professional services. They are headquartered in Chicago. They actually, even though this slide says they've got more than 200, we think they're somewhat north of that by a lot now, and they are focused on content management, collaboration tools, finding ways to make it comprehensive, intuitive, focusing on security and trust. And as I mentioned earlier, they are the market leader in the space. Their focus is on work product management. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a couple slides. They're growing at a very fast pace. They're also growing globally. They are really trying to improve and adapt to the way that they bring and modernized user interfaces to the marketplace, and you're going to see that later. They're enhancing their support, their websites, the way they communicate with their customers, and probably most importantly, we're seeing a shift in their vision and their innovation. They've created something called iManage Labs, which allows them the investment to be thinking to the future and be, taking that step ahead. Right now, we're seeing it in the way that they are really touting and making headway on the iManage Cloud. So they're gaining momentum. In this past year where they've been independent, they've gained about 170 new clients. They're seeing adoption in their products across the board, and particularly their cloud customers have doubled. You'll see that they've also increased their staff quite a bit to support the growth, and the releases that are listed there across their product set show their commitment to getting new and modernized products to the market. We're going to be focusing our demo on iManage Work 931, along with email management and their web interface. Again, if you have questions on what we show or anything else related to iManage or Enterprise Content Management, we're welcome to take those at the end. On the right-hand side, you'll see that they are, expanding their marketplace both in the law firm and the corporate legal department arena. So we talk about work product management, and I guess it's a new slick term for enterprise content management or document management, but the idea is that the software that iManage is providing is a cradle-to-grave approach, allowing one platform that allows legal departments to manage content from engagements from start to finish. So it really speaks to the fact that you have to organize your content, whether it be emails or contracts, documents. You've got to be able to find and search for items quickly and easily, collaborate with others in managing the content, and ultimately, governing the disposition and archiving documents. So this life cycle you'll see quite a bit when you think about work product management, and it's incorporated in the full suite of products that iManage offers. So I'm just going to stop there for a second. Michelle, do we have any questions so far?
So far, so good. You can continue
Okay.
on.
All right. Well, I'm going to hand the baton over to Chuck to talk about the roadmap and the future of what we're seeing in iManage and to get into our demo. Oh, hold on.
That's okay. I can see your screen. One more
Okay.
slide forward. There you go. Okay, thank you everybody, and we appreciate you spending your lunch hour with us today to learn a little bit more about the enterprise content management market. And there's a lot of exciting things happening with iManage and ECM particularly. When you look at this slide about what we're calling the key milestones, you'll notice that the timeline is very aggressive. It's happening very fast. You know, a lot of us have been around technology or legal specific technology for many, many years, and updates did not come this quickly in the past. Most of what you're seeing here is being dictated by the cadence of Microsoft and how fast things will be happening and changing in the Windows 10 world. So today we're living in the first block on the left, the next generation intro, which was the 9.4 software, which was released at the ILTA, the International Legal Technology Association conference, the end of August at National Harbor, Maryland. What 9.4 did fundamentally is it introduced what I'm going to show you a little bit of today, which is what they call the next-gen user experience, or the new user interface, or the UI. Not to steal the thunder, but I will take you through that a little later and show you how nice that interface is. It increased some OCR technology. They now have a module that's called the OCR module. So if a user is filing content that is PDF specific, that's not searchable, they will automatically index and make that information available to the idle indexer so people can retrieve that content. And they also introduce some concepts around microservicing hubs with smart previews, render information more quickly when people are looking for content and attorneys are trying to thumb through documents. And again, we'll show some of that in the demonstration. I will take a step back to what's not shown here on the left. The current shipping version that we're seeing people install right now is 9.3 or 9.3.1. 9.4 just got deployed a couple of weeks ago, and I think we'll start seeing that getting adopted quickly. But with 9.3, you will experience full support for Windows 10 on your desktop and full integration with Office 2016 and Office 365. So when we speak about Office 365, we're obviously speaking about the full, thick, and complete installation of Office, not the Word online versions or browser-based software that you see with Office 365, but the traditional installations of Office. As you look right, you'll notice that the schedule moving forward is very quick. We're talking about 9.5 later in 2016, which there's not much of that left, and we're now hearing that 10.0 will be early 2017. So you'll see that there's going to be some quick version hopping, as we like to call it. In the 9.5 area, a lot of the changes that you're going to see there are going to be more back-end administration and empowering the business analysts to look at the data about the data, the metadata, and learn more about what's happening within the environment. One of the really interesting things that was previewed at ILTA in this Control Center feature was to be able to do advanced data analytics and algorithms against the information in your repository, who accesses it, when they access it, where they're accessing it from, and really, really interestingly, who is going to be leaving your organization. iManage now has algorithms in place in the new Control Center that will predict with over 80% success rate what attorneys or organizations are looking to take intellectual property or to leave the firm or the corporate law department. So this really gives the back office a lot more insight into what's happening. You're also going to get some enhancements in tools where you typically may have looked to the third party before. Companies like ProsperoWare and DocAuto do a really good job at making some of these sophisticated tools, but iManage will be delivering some lighter weight tools if you just need the basics. So you'll want to look for them in 9.5 as part of the new offering in the back end. 10.0, it's still a little bit out there, but I did get a sneak peek at the interface at ILTA. It's a whole new reskin. It's a next generation interface. Some of the really cool things that'll be in there is the ability to do co-authoring on documents. So if two lawyers are co-collaborating on a Word document, they can co-author together and be interactive. And they're also going to extend the email management filing into Microsoft Outlook Web Access. Today, if you use email filing and you want to file an email to a matter, you have to do it through the full version of Outlook. In the next versions of 10.0, you'll be able to do that through the browser-based Office or Outlook client. Sherry, next slide, please. So this next slide, I think, is really important to speak about. And for our audience today that is more corporate legal focused, I think this is where that market is starting to gravitate. Over the years, iManage traditionally has been a premise-based content or document management system, and I think what really differentiates them in the market space is not only are they the dominant leading provider and they're the most mature, but they also have the flexibility and choice to allow a client to pick, do I want to host my technology on-premise, or do I want to reduce my data footprint and put it into the cloud? I can tell you on the projects that Sherry and I have worked on recently in the corporate legal world, we're seeing a very high adoption of the cloud because it's sometimes difficult to get the internal corporate IT departments to adopt, deploy, and support a one-off application for the legal department. So getting that service turned up in the cloud is quick, it's secure. As you might imagine, iManage's data centers have to meet all of the compliance and certifications of ISO 27001, SOC 2, HIPAA compliance, all the things that we know the corporate environments are adhering to. iManage is doing that as well. But what we also see is a lot of times a client will premise-base the technology and corporate IT will handcuff them and not allow them to use some of the collaboration tools or some of the mobility tools. So by doing it in the cloud, you may have a little bit more flexibility in what tools you can and can't adopt because you're not opening up access on the corporate network. We still need to be concerned about the client data or the matter data that we're storing in the cloud repository. You'll notice high availability is built in. iManage has multiple data centers in the US and over in the EU. They're depicted here on the slide. In the US, they have redundancy, and any data that is stored in one data center is kept in the United States for sovereignty issues. So if you're writing data to the US data center cluster, it's not going to ever leave and go to the EU or vice versa. So I think we're seeing very strong investment in their cloud technology. I had an opportunity to speak with some of the senior management at ILTA, and my understanding is they've hired significant amount of people to build, support, and really provide a robust cloud data center. One of the nice things is that all of their storage now has been improved and upgraded to flash-based SSD drives on every device they have. So that performance experience you get is going to be very quick. And when I do the demo today, you will be seeing me demo the software from the cloud. So you'll get an idea of what that user experience might look like. Sherry, next slide, please. Okay, and I think this is where we're going to pass the presenter ball over and start showing some of the software, right?
Correct. Hold on.
All right, if you can send it over, I'll go ahead and share my desktop.
There you go.
Great, and I'm going to ask you, Sherry, since I can hear you, if you can see my Outlook mailbox pop up on your screen, and I'll know the others can see it at that point.
Yes, we're all good.
Super. So what I'm going to do, and I apologize for some of the folks that are on the call that are, iManage users today. So some of this may be a little bit repetitive for you. I'll try to make it interesting and show you some of the new features, but I promise as we get to the second half, I'll show some of the collaboration, and I'll definitely show the new 9.4 web interface client. So on my machine, I choose to run what iManage calls DeskSite. There are two clients that are available. That are traditional desktop clients, I should say, not including the web client. And DeskSite is the one that we see the most popularity in these days because there are so many applications that are hooked into Microsoft Outlook that Outlook just becomes slower and slower. They still have a client called FileSite, which would put iManage inside of Outlook, right down here below my public folders. But for the purposes of performance, I'm running DeskSite. If you are a current iManage customer, they do have a trade-in policy where you can trade your FileSite licenses for DeskSite or vice versa if you want it to go the other way. What you'll notice about the new 9.3 client that I'm running is that they've reskinned it. It looks a lot more like Office. Across the top, it's obtained a new ribbon type interface. So if I click on the search tab, I get the exposure of searching for documents and workspaces and those types of things. It's so tightly integrated with Office that it just makes sense that we make it look the same, a uniform look and feel. It's also become more colorful, more refreshed, so you can definitely tell that the software's had a looking over. One of the other things they did that was very interesting is they spent a significant amount of time visiting lawyers and sitting down with over 50 attorneys in firms that were large and small and corporate and asking them to demonstrate how they do their work so that the software could be more intuitive to an attorney because a lot of features were not being used. So for those of you that don't know, inside of iManage we have the concept of what are called electronic matter workspaces. And as an attorney that I'm working on a deal, these are the matters that I live and do my job in. Today for the demo, I have a mock-up of Coca-Cola Company General. We'll use that as the sample space that we're working in. And you'll notice that underneath of that red weld, I have a folder template or structure of the types of content that I want to file, including agreements, correspondence, documents, and emails. This allows us to do a couple of really nice things with content management. One is we can provide security at the matter level, at the folder level, or at the individual document level, or we can also provide metadata at the folder and matter level, meaning that if you're used to filling out that old-fashioned, very laborious profile card, when you file content using iManage, you will not have to have that step. So let me switch over real quick and just demonstrate for those that haven't used the product. If I just create a Word document, like a sample letter for today's demo, I go ahead, I click the Save button, and notice that I'm tightly integrated into iManage. So I can police my system, whereas users cannot store outside of the iManage system. And again, this is real-time access to the cloud. So I am not close to my data center, it's over the internet, so the performance is very fast. And when I click on my matter work list, these are the matters that I've recently touched. I want to file this letter into the Coca-Cola general matter. And notice when I click the correspondence file, the document type down the bottom changes from agreements to correspondence. That means we're inheriting the security and the metadata for that document. So all I have to do is give this document a qualified name. I can pre-fill, if I choose to do so, my author information to streamline my save process. And sometimes in legal departments, the author is the person you're doing the typing for, not the person doing the typing. And I go ahead and hit the Save button. And what that'll do is that immediately writes a copy of that document up to the cloud, gives me the next sequential document number in the database, and files the document to iManage versus profiling the document. We hear all the time that too many clicks is too much for legal professionals. We want to make that workflow experience as easy as it possibly could be. So let's talk a little bit about the concepts of email management and searching before we jump into collaboration and next-gen user interface. So for email management, if you choose to run desk site or file site, you will continue to have what iManage calls the iManage Email Management Toolbar built into your Outlook. So we mentioned earlier that they're pulling pieces out of Outlook. They would pull the file site client out, but the email management bar would be persistent. That has to stay because we want to file your email efficiently and quickly. One of the nice things in the later versions of iManage is what we call suggestive or adaptive filing. For example, if I pick an email down the bottom from Laurel, and I notice that Laurel works at a law firm in Atlanta called Arnell Golden Gregory, you'll notice that it inherits that information in the email box, and it suggests to me that when you're collaborating with this person, more than likely you want to file it to that Workspace folder. All I need to do to file her message is click on the File button at the top, and her message gets filed to the iManage system. That's as easy as I need to, and as you notice, I wanted to move off so you'll see it. A little green check mark is exposed next to Laurel's email, which is my indicator to tell me that that email has been filed to the matter folder. That's simple to do, very easy, very quick. That same type of filing functionality could be done within a read pane. And if it's not the right matter, I can pull down and you'll notice that it'll give me suggestions of who I'm working with on these types of deals. And iManage is looking at the sender, the recipient, the subject, and the body of text, and it gets sharper and sharper over time. But if it totally misses the boat and I want this to go into Coca-Cola, I can type Coca-Cola, and that quickly over the cloud, I pick my matter, I click my file, and I can file the message from within the read pane, thereby eliminating the step of having to close and return to my inbox to file that message. That would be simply too many clicks. If I'm sending a new message, and Sherry, I'll apologize to you today, we'll spam you during today's demo. If I'm sending a message to Sherry, and I want to email this to her, iManage could be used to file your mail on the outbound mail flow path. We call this send and file in the industry. So all I need to do is create my message, click the send button, and iManage will briefly intercept my send process. What this is saying is, what do you want to do? If I'm just saying to Sherry, meet me in 5 minutes in the lobby for lunch, I'm more than likely going to hit send only, and away goes the message. If it's something that belongs in a matter file, and I need to put it into that engagement, I can look at my suggested locations, I can look at my recent locations where I've done business, or I could type into here exactly what I'm looking for and get a list of all of them. So if this belongs in Kaplan General, I could pick that matter and I can hit the Send and File button. What that's going to do is eliminate the step of having to go back to my sent items and then manage that email a second time. If we ask attorneys to do that, they're not going to go back and do it, and that email is not going to make it into the matter file. We have to make it easy. We have to make it single click and make it fast. The other thing that they introduced, and this is kind of new to 9.3, I guess some of it is new to 9.3, the idea of linking folders is not new, but the concept of subfolders is. Inside of your inbox, we find this all the time, especially in corporate law departments that do not have document or email management. People are using Outlook as a pseudo document management system. And what they're doing is they're creating a folder structure where they're recreating the matters they're working on and they're filing content. If I want to take that information and I want to associate it to my iManage system, it's very simple for me to do. All I have to do is click on the folder that I want to deal with, right-click, and choose Properties. And under here, you'll notice I have a tab that's available to me that says File to iManage. What File to iManage does is it permits me as the task worker to make an intelligent decision. Do I want to file the messages that are in this folder to iManage? And clearly I do. Where do I want to put them? Here's my matter work list, the last 10 matters I've touched. Here's all the matters that I work on. Or I could type in the matter that I'm looking for, like Coca-Cola, and I can select that matter. And now I have a choice. When I do this linking of folders, do I want to leave a copy of the messages behind for my convenience inside of Outlook and Exchange, or do I want to uncheck this box so that the messages will be moved out of the email system and in to the content management system? Once I hit the apply, what you'll notice happens is the folder gets a little blue iManage icon and it gets a suffix for worksite, which tells me that it now is a linked folder. Any information that is filed to this folder at this point, whether I drag and drop it, whether I move it from my toolbar, is automatically routed over to iManage for my convenience. And the way iManage does this, think about the big piece or the backfile conversion. There is an engine running that we call the communication server that offloads this from the client's machine. We don't want a user's computer tied up for hours to move thousands of pieces of mail. So once that link is established, it's persistent. You'll notice under one of my personal folders that now in 9.3, when I link a folder, I have the choice to link my subfolders. And when iManage files that information over to the matter, it will create the hierarchy for me so that I can maintain my foldering scheme when information is plopped into iManage. So with that, I'm going to unlink this folder because there's really nothing here, and I don't want to clutter up the Coke demo with my Amazon orders. And we're going to switch gears a little bit before we get into collaboration and talk a little bit about search. If you've been using iManage or comparable document management systems over the years, you've probably become familiar with the concept of doing a search filter, right? This is the traditional method of searching, and I'll show you that plus some of the newer ways. So in this scenario, because iManage is matter-centric, it's warning me to say, when you do this search, you're searching in the database named Norristown, but you're in the Coca-Cola general matter. So think about a tree. Do I want to search at the star at the top of the tree, or am I searching at a branch and what's below it? I want to execute a search that's broad against the whole organization. On the right-hand side, I have a little search helper that's telling me what information I'm searching for. So I'm going to clear out the old search criteria and make a choice. Do I want to see documents only, emails only, or both? And for today's demo, we'll render a search against both. And now I'm going to start filtering what I'm looking for by adding metadata. So I'm looking for agreements that were authored by Chuck. And if I wanted to go even deeper, I can say look for within the body of the document, right? And I'm going to go ahead and click the search button. And in a couple of seconds, we have a document library that I think is close to 1,000,001 documents. This should give me a hit list back of all the documents that meet that search criteria when I'm applying those filters against them. This is called a traditional profile search, and this is how iManage and most document management systems have been rendering searches for years. Notice that we got a very broad sampling back. I have my threshold set very high, 1,132 searches. Results, I should say. If I wanted to narrow this search and I want to exclude emails, I could say show me the documents only. My search helper updates, I rerun the search. The search is much faster this time. Now I have 222. And once I render my search, I can use traditional Windows-based functionalities. Do I want to sort them by document number to see the earliest document numbers or the newer document numbers? Do I want to group them by author or by document type? all of those functionalities are available to me. And this is the old-fashioned way to search. But this is not the way people search when they search the internet. If you search the internet, you probably use a tool like Google, and you are used to using a single line interface. What iManage has introduced is the concept of what we call express search, which by tapping the default key sequence, which is Control 2 times, I get a single line interface that looks a lot like what a Google line would look like. If I'm looking for something like agreements, I start typing in some metadata, and I pull my fingers away, and the system will start to enumerate the content that I'm looking for. If I'm looking for something that is more specific, like the Potter Master Services Agreement, I can add a little bit more metadata, and I can start seeing, here's the documents I'm looking for. These are the Potter Anderson Master Services Agreement, here's the Word document, and here are some of the emails that are revolving around that matter. What's happening here and why certain things are bubbling to the top is iManage's indexer, which is called idle, is using relevancy ranking and bringing more current content to the top, thinking that it's more applicable for me. Just like if you search Google about a search term, if it happened yesterday, you're probably going to find it on the first page versus being buried a couple of pages behind. These search technologies could also be applied to email that you've seen me file to the system. For example, if I want to search for anything to Chuck, but I want it from anything at Amazon.com, I can do /Chuck from Amazon.com, and I can start getting my results list. But if I want to narrow that to anything that has to do with Skylanders toys, I can add a little more metadata, and out of 1 million documents, I can quickly find what I'm looking for to minimize that search and get to the emails that make sense to me as an attorney. So this really gives users the way to quickly and efficiently find information. If we make it easy to get email in, and we make it super fast to find content, adoption rates of using iManage go very high. And I have to tell you, a lot of people come to iManage strictly because of the 300-400 emails a day they're dealing with. I mean, the documents are one piece, but the emails have become overbearing over the years. So before we switch into next generation UI, some of you may have not seen what iManage now calls iManage Share. Going back to the Coca-Cola matter, we'll use that as our example. Let's say, for example, that I am working with a law firm and I want to share a document securely, either because it's sensitive or because it's too large to go through a mail gateway, or I just feel better about doing it through a... Once I'm inside of iManage, I can pick the document that I'm looking for, and we'll pick this full sample agreement. I can right-click the document, and I can choose to send a secure link of that document to someone outside of the area, the firm or the business. Notice that iManage is asking me, do I want to get a different version? And I want to take the latest version in this case. So I have the new version that I wanted to attach. It prompted me that I had a V2. I now can choose to put a password on this document. So I'm going to say the password is apples. I'll double check that password. I can set a shelf life for this document in the data exchange. Does it expire? Does it expire in so many days or on a predetermined date? I'm going to say for today's demo it never expires. And if I wanted to, I can choose how many downloads of that document the other side can get. Once I fill those couple of pieces of information in and I hit the send button, what iManage will do is it will start to create an email. This takes a second or two to pop up, and this is happening in the iManage cloud. So if you use the Share product, even if you're a premise-based customer, you're exchanging this data through the iManage cloud. So we'll say this is a test share for Chuck, and I'm going to go ahead excuse me, and hit the send button and send only. So I'll go ahead and flip over now to my Outlook mailbox, and we'll wait 1 or 2 seconds while that email arrives. So now, taking off my sender hat and pretending that I'm the recipient, here is the incoming call tag for that document that I just securely exchanged with someone outside the organization. All they need to do to access this document is click the document one time. It will open up a browser link, and it will challenge me to choose the password. Once I put in the password, and you'll notice that you can brand this with your business logo, I can go ahead and choose to download, open, or view the document, and I can exchange content with someone on the other side. So it's very, very easy for me to do a once and done ad hoc file send that is totally secure. The other nice thing is that the iManage history table, the information that is tracking what I do with the document, is ticking the fact or making a record that that document was sent outside of the organization. And the other thing that's nice about Share, is you can do more than just a secure file send. You can create what we would refer to as a secure deal room or a collaborative workspace. So within the Coca-Cola company, you've noticed that I've created a folder called the test client share. Now I can take documents that live in active matter files like the agreements folder, I can move them over to the test client share or place a copy of them there, and I can expose this to clients outside or the law firms that I'm working with so they can see the information that I'm publishing, and based on the rights I give them for that share, they can edit content, they can add content, or they could just review and print content. So very, very flexible. And a lot of the things I'm showing today, if someone wants a deeper dive or a full demo, Sherry and I would be happy to set up a meeting with you or another go-to meeting to show you a higher level or a deeper dive, I should say, on these features. So with that, I'm going to switch gears and I'm going to drag over from my other monitor a web browser screen, and I'm going to give you guys a peek at what is part of 9.4. This is what iManage calls the next generation or reactive user interface client. And what's important to know about this client is that it's built using HTML5 technologies. So one of the things to keep in mind is any device that you're working from, whether it's a computer screen or a Mac or a tablet or a smartphone, the client itself will kind of mold itself to the application and the real estate of the desktop, kind of like a chameleon would, right? And it will make itself function optimally on the device that you're choosing. One of the things that was holding back some of the mobility in the iManage world was they have a great mobile client today for iOS devices, specifically iPads and iPhones, but users that prefer to carry an Android didn't get as much functionality. It was a little bit older. So this new next generation user client is going to overcome that challenge. As I look through this, I can click across the top. Of course, the system logged me out during the demo, right? I can click across the top and I can start seeing the emails or the engagements that I'm working on or the clients that I'm working with. And I can take a look at everything at my fingertips. What you'll notice is that it's a very human-friendly interface, right? It's intuitive. It categorizes the information that I'm looking for in order of when I worked on the documents, and it has a lot of good information available to me. What's the version? What's the information on the profile card? What's the matter of the document? If I want to filter this document list, I can choose what do I want to see. Am I looking just for presentations? Am I looking for documents? Am I looking for spreadsheets? So it's very easy to subcategorize the information that you're looking for. What a lot of people say is that it's very similar to consumer-grade shopping sites. They're intuitive. If you give an Amazon.com, for example, to anybody, they pick up a tablet, they pick up a smartphone, and they understand how to navigate that software. But what's also important to know about this 9.4 client is that it's also utilizing some artificial intelligence. Notice that unlike the traditional client where I have to subscribe to the matters or engagements that I'm working on, iManage is intelligent here to know what have I touched recently, and it bubbles that information to the top for me. So if I know I'm working on a matter and I see I just touched Coca-Cola, I can dive into Coca-Cola, I can see the matter workspace folder, and from whatever device I'm using, I can access, review, and look at that information. And that's an important statement to make right now, is that I'm reviewing or looking at it. The evolution of this client, we believe in the future, will add the ability to fully edit. But right now, if you want to edit a document, the recommendation is still to have a full-blown version of DeskSite or FileSite installed. But for the mobile professional or someone who just wants to review content, this is a wonderful way for them to deal with information that they're looking for. Let me give you a couple of examples. So in the Coke matter, if I click the agreement folder and I want to look at this full sample agreement for the iManage demo, I click on that document one time and the preview immediately renders that view. What's important to know here is there's a smart preview engine that is throttling the amount of data that's being distributed to that device or that endpoint device. It could be a smartphone or a tablet that's using a low bandwidth or high latency type connection. And typically, if you had a large document with hundreds of pages, that user that's mobile would be waiting a long time for that document to download. Not with the 9.4 client. We can actually scroll through and the software will render the information that we're looking for. But one of the really neat features that I like is, what if I'm in a page on this document and I'm looking at the document section 3 for additional fees, and I click here to see that there are other versions to compare against. When I click the version 1, it will render a view of that document, but it automatically paginates that document to that same page or marker, bringing me back to the same space so that I can easily look at the document and compare the two between each other without having to go through hundreds of pages to side-by-side them. This is very easy and fluid for people to do. I think it's going to be a great tool for those that like to work on MacBooks and devices like that, because it gives them the flexibility and the power to choose their endpoint device. They're no longer roped into only using a Windows machine. It's a very nice feature. So it also has a lot of nice things that they call intuitive help. If I don't know how to do something and I can't figure it out, I can click up here on the help button, and the help will tell me, what would you like to do, and let me guide you through that in a contextual type concept. So if I want to email the document, I can click email the document. The system immediately hovers over and says, Chuck, this is where you want to come if you want to email that document to somebody. So it gives me the information that I'm looking for. If I want to see information about the document history, you'll notice that I can come in and I can see everything that happened on the history of the document. I can see the users that worked on this document, all of the activities in user version or in list version. I will tell you that we don't have it integrated yet with the Active Directory, but with the new Microsoft AD, you will start seeing the headshots of the people like you do in Microsoft Skype for Business or in Office Online, so that you can associate with the facial recognition of the person that you're collaborating with. So it really makes it very easy for people to be able to find information and deal with large amounts of information. And before I wrap up, I'll show you that search is just as similar. And right down here, another option on cull. If I just want to come through here, I can say, here's the documents in this folder. If I just want to see the ones that Sherry's working on or that Patrick's working on, I can quickly enumerate them. So culling down is very fast. And the last step for today is really to show you, if I want to do a search on all databases for title and content, I can come in and say, show me the Potter Master Agreement. Go ahead and hit that search, and that quickly over the internet, I get the information that I'm looking for. Again, I can figure out, what am I looking for here? Does it belong to a certain client? Does it belong to a certain document type? Do I really just want to see PDFs that are applicable to this, or do I want to see documents that are applicable? And when I go back and I click the link, I get the fast preview. So it makes the accessibility of the enterprise content management system so much more reachable for the mobile professional. And again, in the corporate world, a lot of these functionalities typically would not be unlocked because of corporate IT restrictions. If you're looking at a cloud opportunity with iManage, you may be able to take advantage of some of these functions and features. So with that, I'm going to pause and switch the presenter back to Sherry in a minute, unless somebody has any specific questions about the iManage demos. Sherry, I'm going to pass the presenter ball back over to you.
Okay.
And you should have your screen back in a second.
Great. There we go. Can you see?
Okay, we can see you again, Sherry. Back to you.
Okay, good. Well, we wanted to take this opportunity to open it up and see if anyone on the line did have any questions, wanted to see anything more specific than what Chuck showed. So, Michelle, I'll turn it over to you, see if we have any questions on the line or if anyone would like to speak with a question.
We do have a question. Somebody would like to know if the iManage Cloud is public or private.
Okay, I can field that one. So iManage is kind of unique in their cloud design. One of the things that makes them very interesting is they do build a dedicated private cloud for each and every organization that they host. When you move into their cloud, they do charge a small one-time power-up fee. They do stand up a dedicated server stack for your organization and your organization alone. So there is no multi-tenancy, there is no commingling. Even your document numbers, the document numbers that are native to your system that you have, become your document numbers in the iManage Cloud. One of the challenges we see with other providers is that the document numbers sometimes are very long because you are part of a multi-tenant cloud. So that is, in my opinion, one of the downsides. But a private cloud is definitely the way iManage is architected. It gives you all of the compliance, but it also gives you, I guess I'll say it this way, the warm and fuzzy that there's a digital divide between your data and possibly another firm or another organization's data out there on the internet.
We do have another question. Will 9.4 have the same UI for Android and iOS, or iOS users will go through the app and Android has to go through the web?
That's a great question. You want me to take that one, Sherry?
Sure.
So 9.4 really provides incredible flexibility. So you can, if you have the mobile client license, you certainly can go to the App Store and you can download iManage Work Mobile for your iPhone or for your iPad if you prefer to work with that client. If you prefer to use the Safari browser that's on your iPhone or your iPad, you can use that 9.4 UI just like you would on an Android device or on a Mac OS device. So you'll have the flexibility. The other thing that we didn't talk about, that if you're a premise-based iManage client, when you license your desk site and your file site software, with the advent of 9.0 and forward, iManage has unveiled what they call iManage Anywhere Access, meaning that a mobile attorney can have his or her laptop and have a full copy of Office and iManage installed and work using the thick client from wherever they are using iManage over SSL. So no VPN, no connection required. That's essentially what you're doing when you connect to iManage's cloud, but you can emulate a similar functionality. But to answer that question specifically, Android people probably would use the 9.4 next-gen client. iPad people can use that client or could download and install the full mobile client if they choose to do so.
Any more questions, anyone? That looks like that's all we've got.
We can wait a couple of more minutes, and I guess we can wrap up with some housekeeping and figure out how we get these fine folks their bread bowl and soup, because that's where I'm heading. I'm going to Panera after this for lunch.
We will be emailing everyone a Panera gift card sometime this afternoon. If for some reason that you don't receive it in the next 24 hours, you can email me at mlederman, MLEDERMAN, at adaptivesolutions.com.
And I'll caution that if you don't see it, please check your spam folders. Sometimes things like that get caught. And from a housekeeping standpoint, I'm not sure if we mentioned this or not, Michelle, but we are recording today's session, and within the next couple of days, we'll have it available online. So if you have a colleague that wasn't able to attend, or you want to see the demo again, or even if you just want to share it with someone, we will make it available through our social channels.
And we do have another question. Will 9.4 have impact on iShare from 9.2?
Will 9.4 have impact on iShare? I'm not quite sure I understand the question. Are they saying iShare meaning the file sharing piece? Can we ask that person, whoever asked it, to give a little more clarification? I want to make sure that I answer it correctly. We get any more feedback on that one, Michelle?
Not yet.
Okay, we can wait a minute.
Typing.
Check maybe
link site.
Link site.
That's
Okay.
right. Mm-hmm.
You know, I haven't heard any major changes to link site, and that's another one. If you follow iManage, you have to keep up with the branding and names. My understanding is what you saw today will be comparable in 9.4, because the 9.4 traditional client will look very similar to the 9.3 client. We certainly can double check. If we can get that person's name, we'll follow up on that question to be 100% sure, Michelle, but my expectation is that it'll be comparable to what we showed today.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Sherry, you were going to say something.
No, that's all. I was just seeing if there were any other questions before we wrap up.
That looks like everything.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining today. As Chuck mentioned, we will have this recorded and available for you to share, and you'll be receiving an email with your gift card. So on behalf of all of us, thank you very much for joining today, and hope you have a very nice day.
Thanks all. Have a good day.
Thank you.